So guys, if you can go and get a piece of paper and a pencil, because we're just going to do an activity, and then Miss Allison's going to send it to me and I'll put it on the website. But really, just for this, we can use a pencil and paper. And then just to remind you guys, we have 3 really cool innovation sessions today. The first with Miss Allison, and then right after at 1:30 Eastern, 12:30 Central, we have Meeting a Medieval Man, and he's really awesome. He's a lot of fun. He actually he's super, super fun. And then at 3 o'clock, we have our session on innovation with Paul Reynolds. So we're hoping that you guys, I know, he is such a great guy. Miss Allison and I met him in the summer, and he's super amazing. So we sent a little email about that this morning as well. So yeah, they're popping in. So Miss Allison, I'm going to turn it over to you, because we know we have a lot of Egyptologists and archaeologists that are with us that love their social studies sessions.
Yes.
And we love just learning with you. So I'm going to turn it over to you and see you in a little bit. And I'm going to be drawing along.
Oh, fun. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be seeing you all again. For those of you that I've seen earlier this week or earlier in this past time we've been learning at home together, I'm super excited to be seeing you again. For those I'm seeing for the very, very first time, hello, my name's Miss Allison. Now today, guys, I, per usual, put a presentation together. We are going to use a little bit later, because I like to always make sure people have time, the paper and pencil. So I'll be here with you till 1:15, and we'll get to that kind of toward the 1 o'clock hour. Okay. Now, I have been talking to you. If anybody caught the session earlier this week, we talked about amulets. We also recently talked about ancient Egypt and their connection to how they wrote their names. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you a little bit about their daily life, okay? And we're going to do that with a really, really special story that I recently was just learning all about, and I'm really excited to share with you. So I have, just a reminder, I'm going to share my screen, but I also have the chat feature open. So I'm going to try my best to make sure I can see all of these lovely chats, because I know you guys give me the best responses. And if you guys can see my screen, can you tell me, can you write the word of our object in the chat box? I guess I should tell you, it would be like this here. So if you can see my screen. Right. So I told you guys all, good job, guys. Thanks. I told you guys already that we are going to be doing the paper and pencil. So I always just like to make sure you guys are reminded. Now, I have told many, many of you before that I am from the Penn Museum. So I'm located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. If we have anybody that is here from the last week, does anyone want to remind me, what's my job at the Penn Museum? What do we do? No pressure. I always just like to see from my repeat visitors. My public chat is displayed.
Okay, I'll go and just try and enable it, okay?
Okay.
I'll try.
Okay. So what we do at the Penn Museum, and Miss Mally, you can jump in and let me know when that's all okay. It looks like nobody can see on my screen, so just let me know. At the Penn Museum, our one job, guys, is, oh, good. It looks like we're good now. So the one job we actually have at the museum I work in, which is located in Philadelphia, what you see here, is to study human history. Now, the way that we do this, some of you guys might remember, is that we also, we actually study through archaeology and through anthropology. Now, archaeology, this is what we're gonna be spending a lot of our conversation on. So we are gonna look specifically at one excavation and how many years, even digging in the same place, we were actually able to find objects that helped us understand even more about ancient Egypt. Now, like we always say, the goal is never just to find objects. That's not really telling us enough information, right? We could get it wrong, how or why this was used or created. Our goal is truly to understand the culture, the set of behaviors that connect a group of people to objects, okay? So we can go around the world, but most recently we've been hanging out in Egypt, and later in the year we're going to go to different places, and I think actually next week some of us might even head over to Rome. But for now we are staying in Egypt, ancient Egypt. And if we all, so you guys, you can see my mouse cursor here, this is generally right up by where you are, right, or all around actually. And then I am right here in Philadelphia. Our Egyptologists, two of them, they're actually married. One of them's name is, their names are the Wagners, Dr. Wagners. They actually have a team and they travel over to Egypt right here. Now you can see the top of this continent, but remind me in the chat box, my friends, what continent is Egypt located again? Go ahead and type it right into that chat box. Yes, good job. It is Africa. Good job, guys. So you can see it's kind of like right at the very top here. So I love, the reason that I'm calling this out is because we typically, right, you're going to fly into Cairo and we're going to look at an object actually from a museum there today. Now, we have a modern city. Egypt is set in a modern city today. They just have lots of different artifacts that connect them to their ancient culture, right? The ancient past that we're going to be discussing today. Now, right here, I always like to kind of show you this image of the continent of Africa, because remember, we're not talking so much about the culture of Africa today. Our story specifically takes place and connects us to people that were living thousands of years ago. So the world looked a little bit different. It operated very differently. But some things remain, right? Like the location of Egypt, that doesn't change. And those big land features like the Nile and the sand that makes up that big desert. Okay. So though, just to give you guys a little reminder of where and what we're talking about. Now, today, I always like to say we're going to think like archaeologists. And why I always say that is it means I'm just asking you to use your critical thinking skills. I'm asking you to use your eyes to tell me what you see so that we can kind of ask ourselves how we know what we know. Because a lot of times we depend on kind of common sources. So for my friends here in the chat box, can you tell me what are some examples of resources you use to learn? Like think about when you're in the classroom or think about your traditional schooling, things that we use here. Can you put in the chat box, what are some examples of what you use to learn? Okay, great. So I'm going to read them out, guys, just in case it isn't, just to make sure everybody's on the same page and we go fast. So I hear books, I hear textbooks. So maybe there's a chapter of a textbook. Maybe there's a book you just love and you want to learn more about things. We have the internet, absolutely, right? We're the digital age. How else would we be able to communicate with each other? I love it. And we have pencils. Okay, great. So we would have pencils, we would have paper, we have textbooks, we have internet, maybe even look at some articles, magazine articles, scholarly journals. And we have these pretty cool people, the teachers you might spend your time with, the adults that you might spend your time with. Some of them might have some really great information to pass along as well. Now, I love that you guys used all these examples because just like we see here, people are using similar things to learn. Now, when we look into the past, we have a lot of written materials. There's one resource you might be familiar with that has lots of different writings. So can someone give me a suggestion? What is a resource or a book you might be familiar with when it comes to ancient Egypt. What book comes to mind when you think of ancient Egypt? So some of you guys may not spend as much time with mummies as I do, but sometimes what we hear is that, oh yes, okay, great. So I had someone that suggested scrolls. That's absolutely great suggestion. So maybe they didn't look the same as the books that we have now. Maybe they're scrolls. And what I was thinking about was this thing called the Book of the Dead. That's a lot of times, and those scrolls, I love that you brought that up, because those scrolls and things like the Book of the Dead, those are written resources. That's a lot of the information that we can depend on, things that were written down to help us understand the past. Now, the objects in our museum are really special because they actually help us connect in a different way. So meaning what that means is that we're able to kind of make a deeper connection with people that lived thousands of years ago because we're spending time with their objects. Now, what gets really exciting is when you find an object that helps give more meaning or give you more physical evidence of something that you heard about written down and practiced thousands of years ago. And that's what our story is about today. Typically, thinking of the Book of the Dead or the Afterlife or mummies when you're looking at ancient Egypt, that comes to mind. But instead of talking about the afterlife, I thought what we could do is we could talk more about the connections between present and past and the relationship to how we start life, right? This idea of becoming a baby, right? That first relationship, and how that connects not only to our understanding of their culture and their belief systems, but all of a sudden this one discovery we have actually helps us understand and get a glimpse into a big part of their daily life. So we're going to jump in. If anybody can, in the chat feature, this is an object right here in the Penn Museum collection. Right over here is an object that you guys could go visit yourself if you wanted to in Egypt. It's in the Cairo Museum. Now, can you tell me this figure here and this figure here? What is the main animal that you see here? We have some similar features, right? Ooh, great. So I have some suggestions. Maybe it looks like a wolf. I hear that. It might look like a wolf over here. I love that someone said crocodile or a croc, right? Because right here, it definitely has some of those features, like it's going to be chomping. And if anybody is thinking of some other crocodile mythical beasts, this would be a challenge. It's actually a hippopotamus, okay? Now, this hippopotamus has really ancient significance, and it's a connection to a god and a representation using a symbol of a crocodile. It helps us connect to this idea of how ancient Egyptians would wish for a child, and not only wish for a child, but want to make sure that that child would stay safe, right? Not just through birth, but also through their time when they were really young. Because unfortunately, when we look into the ancient world, it wasn't always the easiest thing for babies to stay well because they didn't have the same medicine or practice that we do today. Okay, so that's kind of how we're going to be thinking. We're going to be thinking about the start of life, not so much the end of it here. Now, even today, guys, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this statue later, but first, let's talk about this mystery. Now, here's the thing. Ancient Egyptians, there was this thing written down long ago that said after that they would actually use a specific object when a baby was born. They had this writing, this ancient text that said that there would be the use of bricks, and not only the use of bricks for when a baby was born, but also after the baby was born, the baby would be quote unquote couched in these bricks. Now, this is only one type of written record. In 1994, the Penn Museum actually started a new excavation. This excavation ended up being in an area that was the mayor's house. So it was a pretty fancy spot. in this one area, it was kind of understood that this is where the women would be, because we find artifacts, all different types of artifacts that relate to women that were living in the home. And we can confirm this with seals. Now, here's the coolest thing. They actually found the artifact that related to that ancient text. This is what we call a birth brick. And this was discovered, the only one in living record, the only one, okay, that has been discovered. And this was discovered in 2001. So all of my budding archaeologists, I want you guys to take a good look at this object, okay? I know we can't see exactly what's on there, but we're going to break it down. Can you guys do me a favor? Tell me, what can you see? So you can't be wrong. No suggestions going to be wrong. Tell me, what can you see? Is there anything you can make out? What about colors? Talk to me about what you observe. Oh, and you can just put it right in the chat box. Oh, okay, great. So somebody says they saw people. Okay, great. You can see some people. Oh, nice. I love that we're breaking it down too. So we see something that we could consider could be a figure. Our friends are breaking it down. They're saying, hey, it looks like there's an arm. I definitely see some arms too. It says it looks like there's a picture of a person. And I like that someone just called out the color, right? So we see that there is color. Oh, yes. Okay, great. So people are not only just calling out the arms, they're calling out that there's a head there as well. And I love that somebody just called out the chair, okay? Oh my goodness, great eyes. We also got right here that looks like there's a baby. You guys, I am really, really impressed. I'm really impressed. This is not typically what we can, what always comes to the eyes. Not only did we talk about the picture, we have a new suggestion that it could be a mom holding a baby. We talked about the different parts that make up the figures, the chairs, and the colors. You guys are becoming the best archaeologists. Now, we actually, after this was discovered, you know those archaeologists love to take notes, okay? So the first thing that they wanted to do was draw exactly what you guys just commented seeing. So you were 100% right. Check it out. There are heads, there are arms, that makes up those bodies. We definitely have a chair, okay, which would be kind of looking a little bit fancier than a chair. We do see that baby, so good call and good eyes there. And we see that we have the full picture, right? A mom holding a baby like what was suggested. Is there anything there that you guys, that we didn't mention now that we see this line drawing? I'm just going to give it a few seconds. Anybody see something that we didn't see before? I know we don't have our color, but in the design. A diamond, okay. So it looks like maybe there's a little bit of a diamond happening. A tree, very good. Okay, so we see some evidence of a tree, which would be kind of like right here. And this diamond is actually a face. So that's really, really great. Now, guys, I am like so impressed by you. Now, here's the thing. Archaeologists, once they make a discovery like this, they're not stopping, right? You not only now have something that was written down, and now you have the physical object that's going to help us learn more about it. And get this. Wait, really quick. I'm sure you guys will know this. How many sides are there to a brick? It took me a minute at first too to think about it. Good. All right, good job. So we have 6 sides of the brick, absolutely. So we have the one on top, the one on the bottom, and then we have the 4 flanking sides to make it that 3D object, okay? And guess what? When we look closely at this birth brick, and when the archaeologists, since it's so well preserved, look closely at it, we find out that we don't just have these markings on the top. Now, I know it's not the best picture, but can anybody make out anything down here on this kind of second level? No big deal. Let's just see if you can. It looks like someone said they can. Why don't you share with me? What is something that you observe? Oh, yes. Okay, so somebody thinks it might look like there's a cat down there. Great. Or somebody suggesting legs. We also have someone talking about the color. Very, very good. I am so impressed by you guys bringing up that idea of the color. We absolutely have right here the color yellow. I would agree that it looks like legs. It looks a little bit like a kitty cat. I would agree. It kind of looks like it's on its paws. I recently just saw that movie Cat and went Cats and was very impressed that they didn't use their elbows, which is what I guess cats don't use. So other story, guys. We'll talk about that later. Now, you guys, good job. What we do in situations like this is if you want to make sure to have that same line drawing that we saw before, what the archaeologist did was try to take this drawing and expand it. So we know that we have 6 parts of the brick, but there wasn't any decoration on one of the flat sides, the larger rectangle sides. So that means only 5 of the 6 sides were decorated. Now, I love that you guys called out those different features, and there is in fact a cat that you can see right up here on the sides, and we do have different those legs and those different colors. They definitely represent feline creatures. Okay, now we have our 4 sides, and not everything unfortunately exists. We're actually really lucky. Remember that this brick alone is in existence. Most of these bricks would actually fall apart over time because they're made of mud brick. Okay, so that we don't have this being a living record is a really rare glimpse into something that connects all of us, people that lived thousands of years ago and people that are being born today, right? Which is the start of life. Now, let's jump into this idea of how they're made, because nobody's just painting bricks for no reason. We do have this idea that these bricks are pretty special. Now, by this time, where we find in ancient Egypt, this is what we'll call the Middle Kingdom. This was specifically, remember, found in an ancient home that belonged to someone that was pretty wealthy, okay? So we know that birth bricks are used, but I just always like to make sure you know what type of person we're looking at. So they have a highly decorated birth brick, and our archaeologists were able to not just take those pictures from the line drawings, all of those great features you picked out, but check it out, guys. Right here from those colors you called out, they actually are able to do scientific testing with this brick material to know where these types of colors would have been. So we see all of those blues, we even see that yellow, and we see that not just on the bottom, but on that chair too, okay? Now, let's talk a little bit more about what we can learn, all right? So now I blew up the kind of reimagined image that was created from that line drawing. And tell me, we know that we have our figures. We know that we have a scene of a mother holding a child. Talk to me a little bit about the things we didn't mention. What else do you see outside of the figures and their arms, their heads, the babies? What else do we see? Okay, somebody says it looks like there's a goat on a stick. Good. Oh, don't worry. I hope to see you soon. It's okay. Somebody has to leave us, but I hope to see them soon. Okay, great. So it looks like we have a goat on the stick. What about colors? Does anybody see color? Any different colors? I know that we talked about our blue. Oh, yes. Good job. So we see that we have almost a greenish color. And we also have that, oh yes, we have that brown, right? So we're still seeing some remnants of that mud brick, which would be something that's easy to make, but also to break apart, right? We also have this idea of the brown in the lining, right? And we also see a little bit more about how ancient Egyptians, great, how we have some white on their clothing, right? And we're seeing that everyone's being drawn in what's called the frontal position. That means kind of in profile. It doesn't look very realistic. Now, I absolutely love that you guys called out all of these colors, and I like you to do that. And also our goat on what looks like a goat on the stick. I also like to call out the color green, also represents jewelry. And there is a difference in color here. Now, the reason oh, very good, brown on the chair. I missed that one. See, you guys help me learn something all the time. Now, this is a mother and child. And not only do we know that, we actually can tell by the way that they use color here that this child is actually a boy. Now, boys would usually be represented with this darker color, where women would actually be presented with a lighter color. That's just like an artistic motif they see. So we can actually gain a lot of information just about more about who this person was and maybe the baby they were hoping for. Now, the goat on the stick in the blue color, and even this chair that has brown on it, and I'm so sorry, I forgot to say that. They actually teach us a little bit more about how this was used and why it was used, okay? So this actually is not a goat, but it's a cow. The cow actually relates to this goddess right here. Now, she was a way to connect to both birth and motherhood. The reason that this is an important design on the biggest part of that brick is because ancient Egyptians believed that these bricks would come in a set of 4, okay? Now, during the time that they were ready to have a baby, a midwife, a job that's still around today. Sometimes people go to the hospital. There are an opportunity to have a midwife in a hospital today and in the past, right? That would be somebody that would kind of be like your birthing doctor. What they would do is they would stack these bricks, 2 on one side, 2 on the other, to help the mother have the baby. Now, what you would want is that connection to this goddess. And remember, just like with our amulets, you would put this image together to make sure that the mother and the baby stayed safe in this process of the baby being born. Now, that blue color is actually a bigger connection to this amazing goddess. As you can see, this goddess that has the animal connection to a cow, why it looks kind of like a goat, she actually has blue on her hair too, or her headdress, which you can see here. Now, these women being depicted in blue, this actually helps us know that this is the way ancient Egyptians believed a mother would transition after having a child. The protection and what she might want, what she might need changes a bit. And that's why they're calling out that transition and that deeper connection to this amazing goddess. But we still have a mystery here. And guess what? This helped us solve it too. Because remember how we talked about there needed to be something couched. The baby needed to be couched in these bricks after. Well, you guys did a great job talking about the colors and the legs and even some of the animals that we could see all around the sides of the brick. Well, guess what? The one animal that you guys were that we were all talking about that has those feline cat creatures, this would be like a desert cat right here, is actually a representation of the sun god. Now, the birth brick was so important because and the sun god in general was so important because ancient Egyptians had a myth related to how the sun god came to be and a lot of troubles that he initially had to go through. And this is this connection between birth, life, and that afterlife. So we see the sun god even connect to the idea of an amulet like the scarab beetle, one that you put on the mummy's heart. But here we see that he's taken the form of a desert cat. And what we know, you guys can kind of see right here. And oh, I forgot to tell you guys, I got all these little amulets to let you see how they work. So you can see that we always have these amulets. What would happen is ancient Egyptians believed after a baby, during childbirth and after a baby was born, the practitioner, who's different than the midwife, kind of is operating as a magical doctor. They would draw a circle in the sand. They would be able to kind of give the mom strength, the mom having the baby strength that's kind of using those birth bricks. And then here you can see the baby would be put inside a little cradle made with these birth bricks, couched, if you will. Now, that's why these side images are so important. It's this imagery, when we put it all together, is suggested to be that this is the protection of the sun god. All of those different creatures and the battle scenes on the sides would actually not only represent his myth, but what it would also represent is a way of protecting that baby, protecting that infant. But does anybody notice? What is this? Can you tell me, what is this practitioner holding right here? I know it's small, so I can go closer if you want to. Oh my goodness, look at these. You guys are so good. Absolutely. They are, this individual, right, that would have had the blue hair, they are holding a wand. Very, very good. Now, this wand was used in all the process, okay? This wand is specifically made of hippo tusk, okay? So that's a big significance. Remember, we talked about that animal hippo before. That idea of a circle being drawn in the sand is a way of kind of connecting to the sun. Nothing would come into this circle, and there would be a spoken spell this practitioner would use. They kind of used it as a way of like medicine, because they didn't have the scientific understandings we do today. So they would verbally say a spell, and during the time the baby's being born, this magical wand would be waved over the belly of the mother. Okay, this would be, please make sure the mom and the baby stay safe. Then after the baby was born, this wand would be used, and it's actually something that we can still connect to today, but it would be used and saved kind of as a way to keep that baby safe all throughout infancy, because again, it was a little bit of a challenge. Now, I want us to take a closer look at this wand, and I want to see, can you guys tell me, what are some of the, can you make out any of the animals or any of the figures on this wand and put it in the chat box for me? There's a couple of them, 9 to be specific. Okay, great. So it looks like there we have this, we have a snake. Absolutely, we do have a snake. We have a cat. We do. So this cat right here, this would relate to a specific goddess. We'll see. Oh, and we have the lion. Good. So we have our two feline goddess. So right here is our lion. And right here is that cat connecting to Segment and also Beset. We also see, oh, you guys are so good. So we have the cat, the snake, the lion. It looks like maybe a cougar. I agree. I love that you guys were able to call out this deer, right? So that would be something kind of like an antelope. Can anyone make this one out here? I just find this one interesting. My cursor's right under it. An eagle, great suggestion. It's not an eagle, it's actually a vulture, which is pretty interesting, but again, something that connects to that idea of the desert. And then I know over here it gets a little bit messy, right? Would you guys say, can you make out any of these figures right here? It's okay if you say no. Okay, perfect. I already got my first no, so I love it. Now, the reason that I call this out, oh, it looks like we might have some suggestions, but we're getting an overwhelming no, right? Now, the reason I call this out is because remember, these ones were used. They were heavily used by the practitioners. Now, they're used in daily life, giving us that glimpse into how it would be a protective element, a protective charm in a way. But also what we know is that these were really prized objects. In some cases, people, the main female that would use this, in some cases would even be buried with this, as if it would be a need for the afterlife. Now, oh, I love that somebody just said also they see a person's face on the right. Awesome, awesome, awesome observation. So right here, we do actually see a much more zoomed in face, okay? And we can't exactly tell what that is, but over here we see something similar, and this would represent a crocodile, okay? Now, the reason I bring this up is because there's so much wear right here, and you guys are such amazing, amazing archaeologists, we can see this is probably how and where the person would hold it most, okay? Because that has a lot of wear and tear. The same way an object you use every day, or shoes you might really like to wear, or shoes that you wear every day are worn in. That's the same effects here. Now, the reason I call this out, and I think I see something about a horse, and I love that, is because of this little figure right here. Now, this little figure right here, can anyone make it out yet? Is actually a mythical beast, and it has one of the most important animals we've been talking about. We've been talking about that hippo. So this actually represents the goddess that relates to childbirth. Now, hippos are super cute. And what in the chat box, how many of you guys, what do you think is one of the cutest elements about a hippo? I mean, I guess their ears twinkling is pretty cute. But what else do you think? What else is kind of like a cute element about that hippo? Oh, the nose is super cute. Okay, I like it too. The nose, the eyes, the ears. And then I love that we have a comment that says how fat they are. I agree. They're like little, you just want to go and give them snuggles because they look so chunky, right? Now, the thing is that you make me laugh. That's so funny. And they do, yep, their brain is cool. Even though they are something that definitely feels snuggly because of that big belly, they're actually quite vicious. And this specific goddess, the goddess of childbirth, does actually have two creatures in one. It's mainly that hippo, but we also see riding on the back of that hippo is evidence of that crocodile that would also be connected to this area. Now, this is a really big deal because all the things that we're talking about and the biggest connection to this magic wand is the idea of childbirth. And as you can see here, ancient Egyptians actually thought that childbirth and the start of life had a really significant relationship. That's why we have these really, really special drawings. This here is an object you can see on display at the Penn Museum. Over here, what you can see is all of our big players in one image. This is from the British Museum. So this is our god, the sun god here. We have our goddess right here, represented by our hippo and our lion for childbirth. And then right here is our cow, connecting us again to Hathor, our goddess of motherhood and childbirth. So even though, right, this is something that originated way in the past, today, if you go to the museum in Cairo, in Egypt, okay, people today can actually still rub the belly of this specific statue. So if you go there, you can see the belly actually has a big mark on it. Because this is where people that kind of want a baby or are hoping for a child or wanting to have a healthy pregnancy and child, this is where they go and rub that belly for luck. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I thought today, I'm going to stop sharing because I thought today what we could do is make our own version of a magic wand. So I'm going to have us fold our paper so we can kind of make a banana kind of shape, if you will. And I'll do that with you. And then I'll share a screen again. And I want us to write a word, like a word that would represent well-being for us today. This way we can take it with us. And if you guys want to get magical, you can kind of wave your own wand and kind of bring forth protection to yourself the way they did in ancient Egypt. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our paper and we're going to get our writing utensil ready. So whenever you guys are ready with your paper and your writing utensil, go ahead and put in the chat box, I'm ready. And after I get my first couple, we will get ready to go. Okay, cool. So we have people saying, I'm ready, ready. I'm going to take down my little painting that my daughter likes to leave for you guys. Okay, I'm ready. All right, guys. So what we're first going to do, just to help us with our design, remember, this is just for today. All we need is one blank side, and I'll make sure that you get a worksheet that goes up onto your awesome portal, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to fold our paper hot dog style, okay? So we're going to fold it long way, so the two long edges meet each other right at the corner. Now do your best All right. Miss Allison's doing a little bit better with the folding than she did the first time, guys. So I hope you're noticing. Now, I always like to do this just for spacing, and also because, you know, for me, I always think it's great for us to think about our design, and then sometimes I add it late, and then I add to it just a little bit later. So the first thing we have to do is kind of make our wand. What we have to do is kind of make our wand shape, okay? So I always say it looks kind of like a banana or a boomerang if anybody has been to Australia or likes to play boomerang. It also, to me, looks like a really big happy smile. So if you guys want to, you can reuse this little demonstration when you want to maybe draw a figure. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to try to go from a little, maybe like a finger down, right? The top of our finger down, we're going to make a big smile. I wouldn't go fully to the edge. Give yourself a little bit of space. Okay, so give yourself just a little bit of space. And now what we want to do is we kind of want to make a smaller smile first. I don't like to go right for my edges. Instead, I always like to kind of give myself a little bit of weight. So right here, I'm going to make a bit of a smaller edge, okay? Kind of like an upside down rainbow. Don't make fun of me, remember. All right? And then just all we have to do is we are going to kind of draw little upside down C's. All right. So everybody, once you've drawn your design here, can you tell me that you're all finished, and I'll get ready to move to our hieroglyphs. All right, so it looks like somebody has their boomerang. I bet you it looks better than mine. But nobody's here trying to be the perfect, too perfect here, right? All right, so it looks like a bunch of people are getting it. Now, before I move over to our things, and just to give anybody else that are just finishing up, how about we think of a word? Why don't we think of a word we all want to write on our specific wand? Since these wands are supposed to be used as protection, something to take you kind of help to make you sure that you have a healthy life and a healthy start. What kind of example, why don't we have a couple examples of what you guys think we should use? Like what words we write in hieroglyphs? So I have one example of luck. That's a really, really good word. Anybody else want to make a suggestion? I like that idea of luck. Ooh, safe, okay. Safe, shield, luck. Okay, so safe, shield, luck. What about health? Do you guys think like health would be good? So it kind of brings both, it kind of is two different things. Like we hope that you are lucky and safe with good health. Does that sound good? Let me know what you guys think. Okay, cool. So I got one yes. If I get a couple more, then that's what we can do for our class one. And then if you have something that you want to create for you personally, like luck or safety or shield, which are all great too, you guys can do that as well, okay? So I'm going to share screen, and I am going to ask for your guys' help. So you should be seeing my screen now. Great. Okay. So who can tell me if we have to do H? What am I drawing for H? Who can tell me in the chat box? The letter H. Yes. Okay, Preston, good job. So we first have to go right here to the house. All right. Now, what I'm going to do, oh, good job, still coming in. So what I'm going to do is actually start from the left side. So I'm holding my wand up so that the edges that are open, the flat edges are open to the top, so that I look like I'm having a smile, not a frown. And I'm going to start right over, give myself a little bit of space, and I'm going to make the house symbol. So it's kind of like a spiral, but a little bit more structure. Okay, so we have house. And now what about our E? Where's my, and if I don't spell it right, guys, tell me, but I think I can get health. So we have our, where's our E? What are we using for E, guys?
Gabriella says double read.
Yes, great. Okay, good. So we're going to do the double read. Thanks so much, Gabriella. So right next and slightly down, we are going to draw the line. And it's almost like a backwards D a little bit. So just think of having like a longer line for your D and putting it backwards, like a backwards D or P. So we have E. And what about our A? I think that yes, all right, somebody already got it right away. I knew that we liked this last time. So A is our eagle. So we're going to draw our eagle here. Remember, be nice to me. I'm trying to draw this eagle. And it's my favorite Philadelphia team. Okay, so we have our eagle, and then we need an L. What's our L, guys? Yes, I love it. Our lion. Good job. So then right next to our eagle, we're going to do our lion. Guys, this one is much better than the ones I had before. Okay, and now we have to go to our last one. Where is our T? And then we need our H. Where is our T? I know the loaf, they read the D, right? It kind of looks like the idea of a D on its back, like it got lazy. So what we're gonna do is do our D. And then what about our H? What's our H? House again, which ends up being a really pretty design, guys. Now, because we did such a great job of calling out those different features, I want you guys to draw the eyes, nose, and starting mouth of a cat at the bottom. Or you can do a hippo if you'd like, but that was what we saw earlier. So you can see we have our animal at one side, and then we have the word for health, right? Making sure, and our hope and our protection is that we all stay healthy and safe and lucky. So guys, this is just what was after the lion? Great question. After the lion, we had our loaf. So that's our T. Let's see if I can get, so right here. And then it would be our H, which is our house again. So we're starting and ending with our same hieroglyph. Now, you guys, please send me, I will put this up on the worksheet up, but I also hope that you guys will send me your stuff. I love talking magic, mystic, all things archaeology with you. Sorry, that was from last week. And I just love spending time with you. So I know that we're kind of at the end of our experience, but if we do have time, I'm happy to answer any questions that may have come up, or if you have any other questions about this discovery, these objects, anything you just want to know, I'm happy to answer. Thank you. You guys are so fun. I hope you had fun.
That was an amazing lesson, like so much interesting Egyptian history and how the baby was so important. Having a baby and having it have a long, healthy life was so important to the Egyptians, as it is in all cultures. But just to have that story, and I wonder if there are stories similar in other cultures as well. Now, boys and girls, I know that Miss Allyson took down the alphabet, but you can find the alphabet listed on our resource page. If you go to Penn Museum and then go onto the hieroglyph page, it's there for you. Or you can probably find one online as well. So we're going to be connecting with Miss Allyson again. I forget when it's coming up, but it's really, really soon. So I'm sure all our archaeologists will be joining us again. And I hope you'll stay for meeting the medieval man really soon. And then, Dolores said Megwitch, which means thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I really appreciate you sharing with me. That literally just made my heart jump when I saw that in the chat box. Thank you so much.
Merci from Gibbler. We're getting
You
fancy and
guys.
multi, like, yeah, that's great.
And
And
if you guys do have any similarities to a connection to like maybe things that you kind of hold to keep you feeling lucky, healthy, or for protection, then please share it with me. Share your work with me. I love to see it. And also please share those stories with me. I find when you guys anything you're willing to share, I'm here to help support you guys and encourage you to learn, because learning is like the coolest thing. It makes every day interesting.
that's right. And see, the letters we'll have to, I'll get Katie to send you the letters, the hieroglyph letters.
Yep. So it's health. So it would start HEALTH. Health.
I'll pop it on the website, Mally, too.
It is on the website.
Oh, then I won't.
Yeah, it's in the website. Okay, guys, we'll see you soon for Medieval Man. And thank you so much, Allyson. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks, Allyson.
You at 3:00 as well for Pod.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you
Bye.
so much. See you soon.